All right, here we go, our quarterfinals matchup. And on the left, we've got Mathew on like black-white vehicles or Walking Ballista, however you want to. And we've got another.
Some artifacts.
Yeah, exactly, some number of them. And on the right-hand side, we've got a blue-red control. All right, let's see how this is going to work. Unfortunately, it looks like actually Mathew's starting on a mole to 5.
But that 5 doesn't look too bad, I don't think.
Yeah, hey, if you're going to start with maybe a turn 3 Gideon is going to be enough to get there. Turn 2 Ballista, turn 3 Gideon, it's not the end of the world. I could certainly think of worse 6s.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But aside from this mulligan, so let's just kind of abstract that out, and both sides are able to keep their 7s. What do you think about the matchup? How do you feel it shakes up?
I mean, it's hard to say. I feel like most control decks, you're going into a matchup expecting to play against something that's aggressive, and you're kind of just like, your main board is you're playing against an aggressive deck.
Yeah.
And so you feel like you should have the edge, but I've found more often than not you still maybe don't have that edge that you wish.
Yeah. It's often on the control deck to be able to draw exactly the half of your deck that's going to be good. If you're playing against, like, just like we just saw, when Mathew plays as Gideon, do you have Negate or Essence Scatter? When you have your Negate, it's fantastic. When you have Essence Scatter, you just feel like a doofus.
Yeah.
It just kind of hurts.
Exactly.
But, you know, knowing that your opponent's, I guess, on the mulligan is...
that makes you feel a little bit safer,
Feel a little bit safer. Certainly David's got a little bit... or is ready to go. 4 Censor, 4 Magma Spray, 4 Harness Lightning, the split of Essence Scatter and Negate of 2 and 2, is ready to fight against those aggressive decks, and hopefully draws, you know, like we said, the Negate when you need a Negate and the Essence Scatter when you need an Essence Scatter.
Yep. I would say so. So it looks like a Thalia, Heretic, Cathar is going to come down, and an Essence Scatter is going to... Yep, say no thanks.
Yes.
Don't want her here.
Well, maybe Thraben Inspector, the best card in Standard, is going to go the distance. 1 a turn is not that bad.
1 a turn? Got him on a 20-turn clock? Let's go.
Look at it. I mean, David's already on 17.
Eventually that Wandering Fumaroles might have something to say about it, but...
Yes. But we're kind of at the point in the game where if the control deck's got 4 or 5 lands, and is it above 10 or 12 points, they're probably feeling, this is pretty good.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
being at 17, being able to glimmer without having to worry about anything bad coming down.
Worrying about only 3 damage foreseeable in the next turn, that feels pretty okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna get any number of removal spells, be able to deal with the Walking Ballista. Sure, you're gonna take 2, but then okay, I have Thraben Inspector hitting me. That's not the worst thing.
The main phase Torrential Gear. Oh, I guess it's 2. Okay, I guess that makes sense.
To be able to play around the pump.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's no Harness Lightning in the graveyard, and it's just a couple of different counter spells.
Though, can't you respond to the activation of the pump? I imagine he probably just wouldn't pump it though. He'd just sit there. But I guess having a 5/6 beater on the field is just fine too.
Yeah. This is the part of the game where sometimes control players lose the game for themselves. You know, you have to still be able to win the game. You can't just not lose, and you have to know when to turn the corner and start getting aggressive and actually get your opponent dead. Sometimes just letting all of your opponent's creatures or whatever sit around and do what they're going to do, and maybe he doesn't kill the Walking Ballista there, and Mathew's able to pump it up. And the game could start getting out of hand, but now he's definitely firmly in the driver's seat. He was just able to pull. Oh God, that card just feels so good.
I mean, the fact that it's also an instant speed just makes it so. Ever since that card was spoiled, I was like, man, every blue player is just gonna have a heyday with this.
Oh, for real.
The disallow coming down on the Gideon, and the other card in his hand is a Plains. I hate being in this spot as Mathew.
Yeah, and
just
he's still
there.
only swinging for 1.
Yep. You're just like, God, maybe I can fake out this Plains in my hand being something, though it's not likely.
Yeah. At the same time, when you're in the top 8, you're playing for the invite to the RPTQ. You want to make sure that you're giving yourself all of the possible chances to win the game or to get close. Maybe your opponent's going to mess up. Maybe you do just draw the nut hand after, in this position. Maybe you do draw a Thraben Inspector and you're able to attack for 3, and then after you attack, you pop the clue and draw a Gideon, and then your opponent doesn't have the counterspell because they got greedy. And there are a lot of ifs in that statement, but that's the kind of things that you have to play towards, especially when you're this far behind. You just gotta hope nothing's there. Oh, and like we were talking about a couple games earlier, we actually Torrential Gearhulk for the commit part of Commit to Memory.
I think that was definitely, there was no reason for you to memory here, so I think that was definitely the good play. At least negate a blocker coming in. And so this feels pretty good. Yep,
and we've got the lethal attack trying to Anguished Unmaking one of the Torrential Gearhulks, but Disallow says no.
Yep.
So that was a pretty quick game.
That was very quick, though. I imagine, anytime you're an aggressive deck and you mull to 5, that feels pretty bad, especially against a controlled deck that the moment you play the one threat in your hand is just going to be like, sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, that's pretty rough. But, we can talk about sideboards for a little bit. We've seen various versions of blue-red. We've seen Glory Ringers in the sideboard, which, seeing that we already saw multiple Gideons. I can't see the Glory Bringer not coming in this matchup. It feels pretty good.
Yep.
Sphinx to the Final Word for the blue-red deck feels out of place.
It does.
Maybe there's some room for Dispel, release the Gremlins. I could see those being okay. Ooh, we've got a spicy one here. Confiscation Coup.
Does this deck make a ton of energy?
No, not quite.
I mean, it makes enough to take over a Gideon or something.
You play Aether Hub and Harness Lightning.
That's all you need.
Yeah, exactly. Plus a Confiscation Coup
gives you 3 or 4.
4. It gives you 4 energy by itself. So I don't think it's for this matchup, but hey, that's the first time I saw some of this.
It is a pretty spicy card.
Yeah.
As far as this goes, I think you're probably putting in Stasis Snare.
Yeah, I could see some number of the hand disruption spells. Transgress the Mind, it hits all of the the important things. Once again, we're seeing a lot of this Forsake the Worldly in multiple different sideboards, which it's interesting. It kills Gearhulk if you're playing, I guess, against cast outs. Declaration in Stone, I could see that to kill the Gearhulk. Stasis Snare is one of your instant speed removal spells for the Gearhulks. I could also see this deck maybe trying to get a little bit bigger and play somewhat more controlling. We've got Sorin, Dispossess, and Hand Disruption.
Yep.
So let's see if we get a little bit bigger and a little bit badder.
Let's see.
Yeah, game 2.